Feel like I'm about to go to church.
Sitting in my blackness, number 9, my faith and spirituality and religion. I identify as a Christian. I grew up Baptist, and then when my family moved to Memphis, we became full gospel Baptist, and then we became non denominational. My family members are currently members of New Directions Christian Church in Memphis, Tennessee. It's a church that's all about community service, giving back and doing good and bettering and empowering the community. And that's a big part of how I see my walk of faith. So growing up in rural Mississippi, and going to a Baptist church, we would dress up every single Sunday with the best socks, little ruffle socks, the dresses that were super cute during the service. There would be like an A and B selection from the choir, praise and worship, songs, and then announcements, tithing, and then the preacher would preach, and then there would be an offering. I was very much a spiritual kid. Like I took a lot of my faith and what I was learning very seriously. And I was that star student who knew how to spell every single book in the Bible, and went to vocation Bible school throughout the summer and Bible study on Wednesday nights, and was in the choir and the junior usher board. Like, I was very active in church. Even by the time that I got to high school, I remember in my AP English class, we had to write these dialectical journals. And one of the books that was chosen that we could choose from was the Holy Bible, and to do it on several books from the New Testament. I remember doing that, and I loved it. That was like my own form of Bible study. And when I was a kid, my mom, she had this bed that had like this bookshelf built into it, and she would have all of these books that she would read, like spiritual books and different types of Bibles that she would read. And then she would have like my little stack of like the Bible cards that you could buy to learn about different stories from the Bible, different lessons from the Bible. We had the Precious Moments, little Bibles and stuff as well. We had the What Would Jesus Do board game. Like, I was really into a lot of that when I was a kid. Towards the end of high school, I was just over the church that we were going to, that we were members of at that time. And I started to go to Bible study at this other church, New Directions. And like, I felt empowered as a teen. I felt held accountable for my actions for like the first time on that serious individual level. And I remember I kept going to that church on Sundays and on Wednesdays. And then I told my mom, like, here's the church that I'm really into. I'm going to go here. And she went to it, and she fell in love with it as well. And now my mom is a minister at this church. One thing that a lot of people don't know about me is that when I was entering college, I actually considered taking up religious studies because at that time in my life, that interest was just that strong. There are so many similarities across religions. So when you're thinking about origin stories, when you're thinking about ideas and theologies of how the world will end and where our bodies and our spirits go when we die, when we think about how men and women became the two main sexes, a lot of the stories are very similar. And I think for me, it's been a pleasure, and it's been a worthwhile pursuit to learn those other religions and to learn those other studies. Right now in my life, I consider myself more spiritual than religious. Like, because of my upbringing, I know so many scriptures, and I know the rules. I know Leviticus. I know Revelations. I know the Proverbs. But I don't personally feel compelled to have to preach it and evangelize it to other people. Even to this day, community service has been a big part of how I express my faith. And a big part of it is showing that gratitude for the blessings that I've had, because life has had some really hard moments, and I am just grateful that I've been able to get through a lot. I feel like I live a life where whether or not you are Christian or religious or spiritual, that you can still relate to me. And my mind and my spirit and my soul is accessible. There are primary rules that we all navigate and live by, like do unto others as we would have them do unto you. Those types of staple values that transcend any faith and label and religion. There are some moments in life that have been unexplainable. When I was a kid, my big brother was playing around in my mom's car, and he cranked the car, put it into drive, and put his foot on the gas. And I was standing right in front of the car, but my back was turned to the car. I had no idea that he was doing this. I still remember like something just like pushing me out of the way. And I was standing right there. As a 7-year-old, I did not have that type of like response rate to be able to like recognize that and do it myself and jump out of the way. But like it felt in that moment that something pulled me out the way. And I'm like, I think about that experience a lot. I do believe that like there are things that happen in our lives that are not easily explained, and sometimes that's because it is not for our physical and the mental side of ourselves to understand it, but something more spiritual and more deeply seated that's happening. So that's a little bit about like my religious background and my faith. How it relates to my Blackness really is about like the denominations and the norms of what I experienced at church versus what others may have experienced. Like gospel music is a staple of my existence. Like even to this day, the genre of music that I listen to most outside of R&B is gospel. And you know, I think about those early moments of listening to, you know, Kirk Franklin and John P. Key and Fred Hammond and Yolanda Adams as a kid, and how Donnie McClurkin, and how like so many of their songs just fed my soul, and to this day still do. And so like faith and church and religion is where I found my roots, the foundation of my family. My faith is strong and active, connected to religion, but not dependent upon religion. My faith shows through my work, through how I treat others. My faith is obvious, but unspoken. Because of my faith, I've learned how to be grateful. I've learned respect for others. And I'm not ashamed of my faith. So, in the comments, I would love to hear about your own faith. Like, even if you do not practice a religion, share your story. And as always, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to this channel to get more and to stay updated on more videos that are to come. And share this with a friend and stay tuned for more. I can talk a lot about different parts of religion and faith, and I would love to have a conversation with people. I'm always open to having a Google Hangout